We're going to be doing a tally on the ridiculous amount of partnerships, rewards. I'm going to pressure the team to try and give us some sneaky leaks. And then, of course, if you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat, and happy to read them off. But without further ado, team, we always get new faces in here, so it's always important. Just take a quick second, give an intro. So let's go around the horn. Who wants to start? Steven, I nominate you. Quick intro for me, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Steven. For those of you that don't know me, I lead partnerships and BD and any external relationships and functions with regards to Game7.
Boom. Mic drop. All right, John, over to you.
Steven has so much more to share about himself. He's being humble right now. He's a world champion Dota player and a lot more than that.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, maybe tell him about your background. Yeah, maybe tell him about your background before.
Yeah, for sure. I started out in crypto in like 2016. I actually discovered it through sports gambling because I was like super bored at my engineering job. I was like designing bridges and high-speed rail in California. And I started dabbling into crypto, and at the time, the only two things listed on Coinbase were Bitcoin and Ethereum. And ended up reading a ton into it, got super bought into it, ended up like quitting my job in like early 2017. And essentially, I was like, what do I do in this space? And at the time, a lot of people were trying to start companies and projects in the space, and everyone needed community management and growth. So I started a consultancy helping people with that. And around that time, I actually met John and Ronan because I'd gone back to like blockchain at Berkeley, and they had started like this awesome community in Berkeley. It was very different because it was super high quality. Different from like all the other types of events I went to. And from there, I ended up raising a fund in 2018, managing assets for crypto folks, investing in like primary assets in the space. And then we ended up co-founding San Francisco Blockchain Week together, along with John and Ronan, in 2018. And then 2021 rolled around, and John was at Forte, and Ronan was at Forte, John was at BitDAO, and there were talks about starting a Web3 gaming ecosystem. And given my background and like passion for gaming, I used to be a professional Dota 1 and 2 player. It just felt like a lot of my interests colliding all at once. So I was like, I'm totally down to help you guys build this. So yeah, the rest is history.
Hey, what I don't understand is how did you have the time to be like a world leading Dota player while also like balancing being an engineer, having a fund, jumping headfirst into crypto? Like, do you ever sleep, man? What happened?
To be fair, that was before I started my engineering job. I had like finished school, and I was like, I really am passionate about this game. I just essentially took a year off after graduating because I had a job lined up already. They were willing to wait a year for me, so I was like, I want to try this for a year. And it was a good experience. It was fun.
Yeah, that's sick. I tried Dota once. I'm a League of Legends guy, so I tried Dota once and it just wasn't the vibe for me. But
it's not for everyone.
League of Legends is much better than Dota. Yeah,
it is. The competitive players are so much better too. Like, wow.
Steven's gonna fight us.
League of Legends is not better.
I think we need a game night, guys. We need a game nights to show your skills. All the people that are saying they're great at what they play.
Yeah. Look, if you want a mid silver support, I'm your guy.
Mid silver. Elo hell, man. I'm sorry.
It's good. I get what I deserve. Sweet. Thank you, Steven, for sharing your history with us. And folks, part of the reason we want to go through these introductions is just to credentialize a little bit. Like, the team behind Game7 is absolutely legit. And in Web3, there's just a ton of vaporware. Something that like pops up, has a marketing hype, and then disappears just as quickly. And so it's just really important, I think, for you guys to understand the people behind all these developments. So without further ado, who wants to go next?
Well, yeah, I can go. Yeah, for all the new folks, I mean, I've seen a lot of the same community members coming over and over, and it's really awesome to see that we have such a strong community that always here and kind of listening in and providing us comments and feedback. So, my name is Ronan, one of the co-founder of Game7. I started as in currency trading, then moved into UA for games back in like early mobile. Then got into crypto in 2016 when I went to UC Berkeley for economics, and then since then probably me and John's history is kind of very much aligned. But started a big like Steven mentioned, started a big community for blockchain in Berkeley with over 300 members, working with big enterprise clients, working with a lot of startups, writing white papers in 2016 and 17 in the first kind of big bull run, and then launched a fund together with John and a few other folks to invest in privacy preserving technologies. Did that for about 3 years. Joined Forte, which is another Web3 gaming platform that raised about $700 million in 2021. And then out of that, I was leading all the strategic partnerships for the DeFi protocols, L1s, L2s. And during the same, I guess before that, running events, big events for crypto in San Francisco, like Steven mentioned. And now at Game7, leading various functions. Super excited about our community who are here and supporting us day in, day out, playing games and doing awesome things and providing us a ton of feedback and value. So I appreciate everybody being here.
There you go. Okay. Do you have a favorite game or favorite gaming moment? Maybe some folks would be like, "Yeah, that guy's cool because he likes my favorite game too." What's your favorite game of all time?
When I grew up, honestly, it's pretty basic. I spent a lot of time in GTA. I don't know why. I felt like I was like, felt like a bad boy, kid, doing the things you're not allowed to do on the streets, but I can do it at home. I think that was like, I mean, that's been my main game. I spent most of my time growing up. And then since then I've been just trying various stuff. I didn't really get fairly in love with. I mean, obviously FIFA and things like that. I play with friends at home. That's kind of my main thing. Without getting into too much details.
Yeah, sick. When you said it was like pretty basic, I'm like, he better not say Tetris. Like just picturing you on like a Game Boy.
I spent a lot of time in Tetris, Candy Crush on flights, but yeah, I felt like you needed a bit something more meat,
Yeah, right on. All right, cool. John, that's the microphone that we just passed you. It's up to you now,
John
man.
used to be a Diamond League of Legends player. Definitely let him.
E5. It's like
Wow.
Diamond or Diamond Hands? Are you Diamond Hands?
Oh,
I mean, why not both, man? Por qué no los dos? Yeah. I mean, my name is John. I lead Game7 janitorial services. So I think you heard. No, but yeah. I mean,
Cleaning up the mess.
Like you heard. Occasionally, just carrying a broom. Yeah. So I mean, I think you already heard a lot about like the middle of kind of like my story from Steven and Ronan. I think it's there's a lot of overlap there. I mean, I guess kind of starting before it was like pre-crypto. I was in the military. I did explosive ordnance disposal, so disarmed bombs in the army for 5 years, and then that got boring, so got out in 2013. Happened upon the Bitcoin white paper and just totally went down the rabbit hole. For me, it was like finding like-minded individuals that were like, hey, we can change the world, we can improve it, was just so infectious for me. I was like, these are my people, and I really want to like focus on this. So tried to teach myself as much kind of computer science and cryptography and just learn about everything I could. And then started at UC Berkeley, and then as kind of Ronan and Steven mentioned, ended up helping co-found blockchain at Berkeley. It was really interesting building products for enterprise, but they're very slow and clunky, right? And so it's much more enjoyed working with like ICOs and startups. So yeah, then we started Decrypt Capital, started SF Blockchain Week, which there's a lot of stories behind that. It's like Ronan had this like fever dream of like, hey, let's start a multi-day conference in SF. How hard could it be? Turns out it was really hard, but we made a lot of connections, which was great. After Decrypt, I ended up meeting the Bybit co-founders and got brought on to help run their multi-billion-dollar family office and build out their venture team. But then in parallel, they started this, BitDAO, which like this, multi-billion-dollar DAO as well. And they were like, hey, if, um, hey, if you have any ideas, like, let us know. And I'm like, well, I know a bunch of people in gaming. I'm really excited about gaming. Like, what if we formed a community, formed an ecosystem, formed a DAO around this? And so, yeah, I mean, the rest is history.
Okay, now we need to know who were your mains in League. What got you to D5?
Yeah, so I was like a top end support. So like Leona, Nami, and Bot was kind of like my mains, and then Darius and Nasus and top. I was one of the split pushing Nasus players that you always hate, but I carried occasionally.
I carried him with Tristana when we dueled. I just want to make that clear.
I played Leona, and then he was playing Tristana, and it was literally just like stun lock people for like 2-3 seconds. It was like game over.
I did all the work. I did all the work.
Yeah, but I think I love games, but I'm not very good at casually playing games. So I really only played like World of Warcraft and League of Legends. Like those were my two like obsessions. And then I was like, probably need to like focus on something a little more productive. But yeah.
It's funny how League kind of gets you that. Like, I just uninstalled League because you can never just play one game, and like one game turns to 5 games, and then it's like, oh, I should probably be productive actually.
Exactly. I mean, if you win, you're like, dude, I'm in winner's queue. I can't stop. If you lose, you're like, I can't end on a loss. And it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we do have a couple of other people on here. KT Kiltman, Grand Marquis. I would highly advise that you guys reach out to these folks, give them some love in the chat. We do have a jam-packed agenda, so I'm gonna pass on your guys' intros if that's acceptable, and let's jump right on in to some of the insane stuff that we want to talk about today. Is that cool? All right.
Cool. It's cool. Let's do it.
Cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna read a couple things. 20,000 players, $2.5 million prize pool, over 17 games, several play to P2A campaigns, play to airdrop campaigns. We got love from Cajun. Shout out to all of our Cajun friends. Activations with ARB, activations with Degen, activations with Mantle. I mean, guys, what the heck have you been doing? It's ridiculous.
We've been quiet. We've been quiet for a long time. That's for sure. We're cooking.
I mean, look, folks. Not financial advice, but I would highly advise you complete your quests. Highly advise you get engaged in the community, stay up to date on everything that's happening, and definitely complete your quests.
That's good advice. That's good advice. Yeah, I mean, I guess like just to speak to that, right? Because it's like it's a lot of stuff, and I think what's really been incredible is we took the position of early on where like we want to listen and then act. And so we did a ton of listening, right? And we met all these fantastic communities, like all the ones that you mentioned, right? It's like having these deep relationships in the gaming community. And we kind of listened to like, hey, what are your pain points? Like, what are your problems, right? And I think like the reason we took that stance was like, we want to listen, we want to hear problems, we want to build relationships, because then when we do start building and we start launching stuff and we have things to aggregate around, we very much see the space as like, it's not zero sum. It's all about working together to bring kind of this next evolution of gaming to the people, to the community. And it's just been really nice to see things fall into place, right? Like everyone's just been so fantastic about partnering with us and just, kind of sees the momentum and appreciates what we're doing. And it's just, yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think there's like a lot to unpack about all the details and specifics around all of that, but it's just really cool to see the momentum building around Web3 gaming. I think I'm just more bullish on this space than ever.
So I sometimes struggle with times, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think Summon has only been publicly playable for what, 30 days, 45 days?
I think like 45 days. Yeah, like so it was like end of April is when we launched kind of like the beta of the platform. So Yeah, and I kind of for those of you who are in the early community calls, right? It's like I kind of said that like every couple of weeks we're going to be pushing something pretty exciting because there's like a lot of things on the backside of this, right, that go into this to allow us to keep doing these kind of successive releases and keep the content coming, keep the excitement up. So I would say that probably going to dive into Loot Drop a little bit since that's on the portal. If you haven't checked it out, it just went live, so that's exciting stuff. But then, we have a couple more very large campaigns coming up over the next couple of weeks as well.
All right, so let's kick in the door. What the heck is Loot Drop?
Yeah, good question. I mean, so it's funny. I mean, this is kind of for me, it's very near and dear to my heart. I mean, it was initially kind of called Lock Drop, a little bit of like prehistory if you're interested. That doesn't matter anymore. But it's something that I'd kind of been kicking around for like a year and a half plus. Where like for me, I think that a lot of kind of engagement activations and things like that just really don't take kind of a longer time horizon view on these things. Like a lot of questing platforms you go to, and it's like, hey, just complete 5 actions, and it's just very kind of transactional. Whereas if kind of talking with different game communities and ecosystems, I realized that the need for kind of a longer duration, kind of extended engagement was very much needed. And so we kind of looked at it in the lens of that. It's like, hey, we built kind of these very robust quests. You have a bunch of integrations, on-chain, off-chain, social, etc. But people haven't necessarily kind of packaged that into what if you could do a 3, 5, 10-week kind of plan? And what was kind of interesting about that is that kind of in parallel while we were developing Loot Drop, we started to see all these play to airdrop campaigns, right? And it was kind of interesting because internally we'd been talking about it, lock drop, and then we decided to call it Loot Drop, right? And then it's like you start to see this validation of all of these companies are saying, hey, like we want to do these points campaigns, we want to do these extended campaigns to engage people, to really kind of like prove that they're putting in time and effort, right? And it was just a little bit of validation. I think the aspect of that though is that there's just so many people building these things in parallel, which is really unfortunate. Whereas kind of the stance that we're taking is that we have a very robust community, we have a lot of these robust tool sets, and so like the more information that we have about a 3-week campaign versus a 5-week campaign versus kind of only on-chain quests versus like on-chain and off-chain and social quests or only social, right? It's like the more we learn and the more things that we do, the more that it benefits. And so kind of again, like, the goal is for Game7 to really be the center of gravity for Web3 gaming. I think that the better we get at helping distribute content and helping kind of find folks who want to provide meaningful engagement to those projects, the stronger it is. So that's really kind of like, the standpoint of like the early history. It was like an idea, you start to see it be validated, and then I think like just a lot of momentum is going to build around this because so many games are just like, why would you spend 3 to 4 months building your own play to airdrop campaign when you can go to, in my opinion, obviously heavily biased, like one of the best communities in Web3 gaming, right? And have something that's super custom, super bespoke, really flexible that probably meets your needs much better. And really the foundation of that as well is that you're probably going to get better engagement because we are trying to build a meritocratic nation. It's all about putting in effort. And so by seeing like, hey, how many people are level 5 in Game7 community, right? How many people like are not bots? I think we just are able to offer like a lot to a lot of different games and communities.
Dang. Okay, so Steven, Ronan, I want to give you guys an opportunity. Anything you would add on to that? Any thoughts or comments?
I think John summarized pretty well. I mean, I guess for me, there's another piece to it where we've seen games spend a lot of money in user acquisition, right, in history, and most of these funds usually go for big platforms, and the users are not the one that actually benefiting from it, right? Like at the end of the day, the way that I look at it, like the player has the most leverage because without the players, the game is just a piece of software, right? And today, players don't really get rewarded from all this spending that's happening anyways, and they just go to monopolies, right? And I think this loot drop, it could be potentially a way for actually getting the rewards for playing these games and use that to then double down and play other games, discover other games, or just, I don't know, hopefully maybe one day you can spend that money on buying coffee as well, right? But basically putting that value in the hands of the players that is already spent and just going to monopolies and just democratizing that, I think is another piece that we're thinking about a lot on how to enable that functionality in the future.
Yeah, and
Yep.
to kind of add on to what Ronan and John was saying, like, you know, we looked at a lot of the platforms in the space and really felt like many of them were purely just focused on like UA needs, and obviously a lot of them are like heavily botted. And we really want to provide a platform that can help people with like retention and engagement, and doing it in like a very gamified way, where like Summon itself, the Game7 portal, it's very addictive to like gain experience, level up. Like it's almost like an MMORPG, right? So essentially creating that type of gamified experience beyond just like the financial incentives that everyone else is providing. I think that's the key to actual retention long term.
Man, so I can speak firsthand to some of those topics too. I've worked with teams that have onboarded through different questing platforms, and no shade at any of them. Like they're trying to figure out as best as they can, just like anybody. But you know, you have teams that put up like meaningful amount of their marketing budget into questing, and you get like low single digit retention, even if it's a quality gaming experience. And I think a good portion of that is likely because it's like bots who are doing all the engagement, and you know, bots, at least at this point, aren't likely to be valuable, engaging members in your community and kind of help you, you know, grow. Yeah. So anyhow, I can see that firsthand with some of my interactions with teams in Web3. Um.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
they say bots are humans too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I
But I
mean,
agree, 100%. Yeah.
there's some pretty insane bot kind of networks out there that are fairly indiscernible from like real. But I mean, I think that's really like to speak to that directly, because it's something we think about a lot, right? Where it's like you see all these like massive airdrops where they have these like 6 month plus kind of like, you know, like Layer Zero did this like super engaged kind of bot finding kind of mission, you know, and just like had a ton of data and analysis, right? You know, ZK Sync, you know, kind of those two ones, they had different approaches, but there's so much effort put into it. Whereas really kind of like what we're saying is that you can cherry pick data points on chain, but you're gonna have so many false positives, false negatives, right? You know, you can be like, hey, like if you have the if you have this NFT or you have this like yeah, so you could just like cobble together all these random pieces, but as soon as you do that, all of the bots are gonna start getting those pieces and doing those things, right? So it's continue this game of like cat and mouse. And so for us, we're saying like, hey, like let's kind of like just get down to first principles, where it's like, what do we really care about? What are we trying to incentivize? And like just like from a fundamental standpoint, it's positive community engagement. So it's like, okay, well, let's do things that are kind of hard for bots to do, right? It's like play games, actually engage, right? Actually contribute in a meaningful way. And I think that like that is something that, again, you know, anything is bottable. Like let's just be blunt about that, right? Like anything is bottable with enough time and resources, like to be completely frank. But what you can start to say is that if I can make somebody positively engage and contribute, and in order to get to level 5 in Game 7, it's like I had to play, you know, 10, 12 hours of games, right? You know, I had to contribute in a bunch of different ways. Okay, you know, like as we continue to level up, that barrier gets larger and larger. But then if it's, you start to say like, hey, this bot actually put in dozens of hours contributing in a positive way, do I really care if that is a bot? You know, like if that's a bot, I probably want them in my community because like they're actually putting in a ton of time and effort, right? Like it's like, but I think that's really how we're thinking about it, is like Sybil resistance is only that. It's just resistant. There's no Sybil proof. And so it's like for us, we're trying to direct it, you know, any kind of activity or energy in a positive way.
yeah, I think that's spot on. There's some interesting conversations happening in the fully on chain gaming space. Not to get super off topic, but around the value of bots, and like maybe there's a world where we are embracing of bots because we know they do have value, although it's quite different from like real players' value. Uh, anyhow, interesting stuff. Okay, so circling back to loot drop, what details can we share about this current loot drop? What projects are we aligned with? What games are part of that? And then, you know, for the folks who maybe missed the announcements, what type of reward structure is associated with loot drop?
Yeah, so a lot to unpack there. I was gonna say a Twitter thread just went out that covered quite a bit of it, but it's like I think I'm gonna cover the highlights. So like, first of all, there's just a ton of rewards. Like it's absolutely massive. So I'm really excited about it. So to start off, basically every week we'll be holding a raffle, and the raffle will be based on your multiplier. And so, just to make things very simple, your multiplier is based off of your Game 7 level, which you'll get 1x multiplier per level you have in Game 7. And then you'll also get an additional 3x multiplier based on the loot drop weeks that you completed. So there's 5 loot drop weeks, so you could potentially get an extra 15x multiplier there. There's also 5 Game 7 levels, so you can get potential 5x additional multiplier there for a total of 20. You can think of a multiplier as a raffle ticket. So basically, the more multiplier you have, the more tickets that you have for this like random selection. So circling back to the rewards, now that we kind of talked about how the raffle takes place, you basically have every week we're going to be giving 25 lucky players 777 mantle. So every week there's going to be those draws. We're also, Mantle has generously agreed to give away 777 Citizen of Mantle NFTs and 777 Citizen of Mantle upgraded traits per week. So they're also going to do the same thing, a random draw to 777 people each week. And then starting week 2, the Game 7 design team, and especially Clara V, has done an absolutely fantastic job building a completely bespoke persona for this, and that persona is basically composed of 4 different NFT items. And so, if you're really looking for something to differentiate your avatar, make it look really sick, it's personally like my favorite items that we've currently designed. So starting week 2, the first 5,000 people to complete the weekly quest will be getting 1 piece of that. And if you're in the first 5,000 for weeks 2 through 5, you'll basically get the full collection. So I think that's going to be really sick. But then kind of the big grand prize at the end is really predicated on how many people engage. So every time we kind of hit these different milestones, more people play, the prize pool increases, and the actual maximum size of the prize pool is 2 million mantle. So it's going to be significant. What's kind of nice about that as well is that like every kind of 25k chunk, we're actually doubling the rewards for the rare and the legendary boxes. So kind of at the end, we'll hold this massive raffle where there's going to be common boxes, uncommon, rare, and legendary boxes. There's only going to be 1 legendary box, but if we hit that maximum pool of 2 million, the legendary box will actually have 50,000 MNT. So it starts out at 10,000 MNT, but it can scale all the way up to 50,000. So yeah, anyway, I mean, there's just like that's to talk about a little bit of the prize pool. I was going to say maybe Steven can jump in and talk a little bit about the partners, but happy to also field any questions because there's so many prizes going out that I think it's something that we're working to like make clear in the Twitter thread, and then we're also going to be putting out a lot more kind of like guides and information for folks.
I think what John is trying to say is like bring your friends, bring your families, make everybody play, because the more people play, the more everybody's making here. So
yeah, lock in. And it's important to say that everyone who plays will get some mantle. They will get some rewards. So it's like, it's hopefully you're lucky and you get that, 50,000 MNT legendary box, right? And we hit the numbers. But, even if you play, everyone's going to be able to engage. And yeah, like Tushar said, it's like, when you first go through, you'll basically see there's 3 sections in week 1. The first section and the second section are required. And so that's the ones that you actually have to complete to be like a valid entry for all these raffles. So definitely be sure to do at least those 2, but then continue to do all the weekly quests, because the more that you do, the higher your odds. The higher multiplier you're going to get and the higher odds of winning like a rare or a legendary or an uncommon box. But Mantle has generously sponsored all of the transactions as well. So when you complete the first first section of the required quests, you'll actually get 0.05 Mantle. And so that'll allow you to mint the Mantle Journey SBT, which is like one of the other required quests, but it also allow you to complete a couple of in-game actions for free throughout the campaign. So again, it's important to highlight that all the transactions on the portal are currently sponsored, so it shouldn't cost you any money. It just kind of takes your time, effort, and talent.
I was telling Michael before we loaded up in this space that it's like super interesting what we've been able to do with Summon. So I've been in Web3 gaming for 3 years now. I have never connected my wallet to Mantle. I knew Oldor because I know the team over there, but I wasn't familiar with the other games building in that ecosystem. I had heard of Boomland, but I had never played Boomland. But because of kind of this questing and like the community engagement and all the interesting things that are happening, I've began to explore ecosystems that otherwise I would have never touched. Um, and so it's just super novel and interesting just to think what ramifications may come from this, right? Like maybe people love Mantle and they love the games that are there, and it just really helps all those teams out as well. So it's anyhow super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Or sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, I was just gonna kind of double down on that, right? Where it's like we've heard that a lot from various folks in the community, where like it's like I've seen these things on Twitter, but I never actually played the game, right? I never actually engaged, right? And like as soon as we started playing it, like wow, this is addicting, like this is a fun game, because I think it's just so much information on Twitter, just on social, where it's like you just feel inundated and you're like, like maybe I'll keep this tab open, maybe I'll play it later, right? But like you said, it's like by highlighting different ecosystems and being like, hey, like here are the top games in the Mantle ecosystem, like you get XP, you get rewards, you get prizes. Like it's that nudge that a lot of people need to actually, click the link and download the game and start playing, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is actually a really compelling game, as opposed to it's just yeah. So it's a little bit of a different twist, but I love that you brought that up because it's something we've heard time and time again from folks who are like, wow, I'm really glad I started playing this.
Well, and I think too, like to your point, there's so much noise, not even noise. There's so much opportunity, like real opportunity in Twitter sphere right now that it's hard to like focus. Like people have jobs and families and obligations and hopefully some leisure time in there. And so like for someone who's kind of working in the industry and a bit busy, a bit time poor potentially, you guys really just aggregate some of the best opportunities for me. So when I do want to hop in and jam on some Web3 games, it's like super easy to do so. Um, and not only that, there's an opportunity for players to also double dip in some ways. Like some of these games are running play to airdrop campaigns. So like not only are you participating in the various quests and the reward pools, but some of these individual games are also having like additional airdrop elements on top of them. Um, yeah, maybe if you guys want to touch on the P to A part of some of the games that we have onboarded, or um, maybe some future ones, if we were to onboard them, how players can kind of go ahead and double dip a little bit. That'd be great.
I'll tell you about a story that I heard from someone in the community when they came in to the portal. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a month ago, maybe more, I don't know, where they start playing Pirate Nation and they reached top leaderboard by completing all the quests and leveling up to like level 5. And then all of a sudden they got Degen drop, they got Pirate drop, and now they probably got eligible for also the Arbitrum drop. So I think like for me, it's more come in, play games. You do that anyways. It's fun. I think obviously some people might come in just for the grind and the rewards, but at the end of the day, if you're a player, you want to try new games, you want to play new games, and at the same time, you might get stacked rewards just by doing the things that you already love doing. And I think that's kind of where we want to see the community go, that people play because they love playing. And yeah, there's going to be some rewards coming from time to time, and sometimes it's going to be big rewards, sometimes it's going to be less rewards, but it's continuing providing value to players who are creating all the value in games.
I'll throw on there too. So like, not only does Game7 kind of have the summon system and all the rewards and whatnot, but if you want to work in the industry, or if you're building your own project, like Game7 really is the most inclusive, supportive community out there for like aspiring builders. If you're trying to solve like some complex processes or challenges, it really is a great place to meet people and kind of spend some time. And you hear that from like a lot of people who are in the community that have been here for years, and just like their journey from maybe they started out as a airdrop farmer, but now they have their own projects and all that good stuff too. Um, Okay, so I guess one thing I wanted to touch on is there are so many different kind of campaigns running through Summon right now. For a player, um, what should they think, or what should they do to increase the likelihood of them getting, the largest possible portion of a reward pool? Is it simply just completing the quests? Um, I guess with loot drop, it'll be kind of an ongoing campaign. I guess any best practices or feedback there on how they can best increase their chances of hitting the jackpot on some of these campaigns.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
actually.
You want to go?
John can do the practical answer. I can say the other answer, but like I'm waiting for the person that write the blog post about how to maximize rewards, because I think like that's eventually like what I see happening. It just haven't happened yet, so I'm interested to see that coming from the community, and then John can give the actual answer.
Definitely. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't wait for somebody to write the blog post, man. Like, yeah. I mean, I think it's honestly really simple, right? It's just like the leaderboard spells it out, where it's like the more things that you do, the more XP you'll gain, and the higher level and the higher XP that you have, the more likely you are to get rewards. I think it's one of those things that, just a little bit of alpha is like we're going to be playing around with the way that we're adding rewards, because we don't want it to always be like the top 25 or the top 500. It's like, because we want people who are new and are leveling up really quickly, right? Or people who are doing things first, or like just different kind of aspects of it. We want to play around with that because we do want to be inclusive. We do want to include people who maybe were a little bit later, right? But we still want to reward the OGs. We want to reward the people who are like the foundation of Game7 and are like consistently here, consistently doing things quickly. But I would say like as long as you're like on the ball, we're posting new content, you're doing it really quickly, you're completing stuff, you're keeping up your level, like I think you're gonna do quite well, like, to be completely honest. And then you kind of see that as well in like the loot drop is like, a lot of people were like, hey, like, I'm level 5, like I have a high XP, like what's the benefit of that? Well, I mean, one, there's quite a few things I can unpack that are kind of coming out re your level, but I mean, just really tangibly for the loot drop, if you're level 5, you're getting a 5x multiplier. Like, you're 5 times more likely to get one of the rarer boxes, right? And to get more rewards. So it's all those things that, at the end of the day, it's, I guess, to kind of sidebar for a little bit, a lot of these quests and engagement are really a means to an end, right? Like, I think, like, it's very easy and clear to position us as kind of this aggregation platform and the stacked rewards platform and add benefits, because, like, that's definitely a piece of it, right? But it's a means to an end, and that we really want people to build their reputation so that eventually we can build this meritocratic nation that can run itself, right? Like, that's where we're headed. That's the North Star. And like, if you're building a meritocratic gaming nation, what's a better way to build your reputation than playing games, right? And so, obviously we put in tons of time and effort to feature these play to airdrop campaigns, to get all these partnerships, bring as many rewards to folks, to kind of like nudge you along and kind of help you and reward you for your engagement. But directionally, it's a much bigger kind of picture where we're headed. But anyway, to bring it back down to earth, it's like level up, gain XP. Like the more levels you have, the more XP you have, like the better you're gonna do. And yeah, I think again, you'll do quite well.
And tell us how you did it.
All right, so we have
how long it took you.
We do have a question from Jerry, and we have touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to reiterate it just in case Jerry joined late. Want to make sure we get an answer. They say, not sure if this was asked, but something along the lines of, is the platform gearing up for retention style quests? Like when I finish all the pirate quests, I kind of move on to the next quests. How can Game7 keep me coming back in addition to the game itself?
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, I think there's a couple ways. Like, one is we've had a bunch of these games that are like, hey, like, we absolutely loved your community, we love the outcome from you listing our quest on your platform. Can we do an extended quest? Can we do a part 2, right? Can we continue to add content to that? And that's something that, like, we're actively working on. We're also trying to balance between how do we kind of extend the content for existing games, but the other piece is like, how do we keep adding new content to keep people interested? So that's kind of like maybe something I'd punt. Like, you feel free to like throw up in chat like what you prefer. It's like, would you prefer phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 of like a Pirate Nation, or would you prefer, hey, 2, 3, 4 new games listed on the portal? So I guess like breadth versus depth, I think, would be a really interesting question. Like, we've talked with a few folks. We have our own ideas, but would love to hear what other people are thinking. And then I think for like just kind of like overall, how do we get people coming back? We have some exciting stuff coming online. Like obviously the loot drop is a way that we're hoping to get people to engage, like a lot of these partnerships and rewards. But I also think there's like a couple things that are clearly low-hanging fruit, things like dailies and weeklies, right? And kind of things that, every time you're coming to the portal, we're making sure there's something for you to do. So I think there's a lot of focus around our roadmap about making sure that it's continually fresh content and it's continually things for people to do to kind of work their way up the leaderboard and differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack.
All right. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely going to be jumping back into Summon and cranking on with my quests once this AMA wraps. You're kind of taking my League of Legends addiction into now Summon. So thank you for reigniting that. Fantastic. My wife will be very happy.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. Don't hope your wife isn't angry.
Once I get the airdrop, she'll be like, "Oh, okay, this works out. This is okay."
Yeah, exactly.
We'll make sure that you're not winning the legendary one, Ryan. Don't worry.
Okay. It's okay. It's time to fire up the bot engine. Yeah. Time to fire up the bots.
You gotta make sure you're still motivated, man.
All right, folks.
Yeah,
so
Ryan just gets like 50K in sales into the sun.
like, it's been real, guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
I'm out of here later.
Hey, you'll have these episodes to remember me by. So there you go. All right, so folks, this is a community call. We won't bite. John, maybe, I don't know. But if you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to pop them in the chat. I think ones that are worthwhile reading, definitely we'll share it with everybody. We also have our community team in there answering questions that are maybe more tactical. But yeah, if you have anything you want to share, feel free to drop it. Cool.
Yeah, I want to say, I see there's a lot of comments about, connecting accounts and kind of more tactical questions. I just want to kind of say that, the team behind the portal and the summon, like, they've been spending a lot of time and effort. They're working super hard, working weekends, working really late nights to make sure the experience is as flawless as possible. Given the sheer amount of work and the technical aspects that goes into building something like that, the integration with third parties and all the games to make those experiences, like things sometimes break and sometimes don't work as expected, especially given that there's people with different devices and different computers and a lot of different aspects that goes into it. So I just want to say, like, first of all, I just want to applause for the team who is actually shipping really fast and shipping amazing experiences and doing really God's work for the community. And then the second thing, just like, please be patient. Like, please give us your feedback. We're constantly trying to fix anything that the community is talking about. There is a support ticket system that if you have any issues, we're trying to solve it as soon as possible, so you don't lose any opportunity in gaining levels, getting rewards here. So I just want to say that, like, please be patient. We are seeing everything and we know everything. And we appreciate all the feedback that you're providing.
Yeah, it's tough to launch a platform that has 20,000 users in a kind of a cutting edge industry with cutting edge tech. So just help us build, share positive feedback, constructive feedback.
Say thank you from time to time. I think that's important. Yeah, saying thank you from time to time is really important. It gives a lot of people the motivation to continue and build and creating great experiences for you guys. So just to point that out.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last community call, right? It's like, thank a dev Tuesday, thank design Thursday, thank product Wednesday, because there's a lot of moving pieces. I mean, I think it's like, we kind of gloss over and you guys get to see kind of like all the fun, shiny stuff, but it's like behind the scenes, it's really, the portal is like 100 mini projects within a single project. Like, just think about how many connections and how many things have to go right to make sure all these game integrations go right, and Twitter and Discord, and like, it's very non-trivial. A quick shout out, specifically Twitter. I mean, if anyone wants to like tag Elon on Twitter and tell him his API is awful, I would appreciate it. And then specifically about the beacon, I mean, that's something different where they have their own anti-Sybil thing where it's basically if you don't have more than like 100 followers, they won't actually it won't actually count. You can't connect your Twitter to like their platform. So like just in general, Twitter is really complex. But circling back to like what Ronan said, it's like I think the team's doing an absolutely fantastic job. So again, we love feedback. All of your feedback we hear, like there's been so many like cool ideas and tips and like quick fixes, right, that we've implemented based on your feedback. So don't hold back. We love hearing all of it. But yeah, also understand like the complexity about what's all going on behind the scenes to make all of this work, so that you have a seamless experience.
So I want to give a shout out, and this is impromptu, but a lot of you may or may not know of a gentleman named Arthur. Arthur is exceptional. He's been working with a lot of these teams, getting them coordinated to launch within the platform. He's held my hand to get Mighty Action Heroes Quest set up, and I'm not a technical guy. You do not want to have to explain APIs to me, and this poor soul did it with grace and has just been grinding super, super hard with Summon to make sure it's a success. So I don't know, guys. Maybe throw some tacos in the chat, throw some emojis. Say thanks to Arthur for all of his tireless hours and work. The only thing I wish he wasn't higher than me on the leaderboard. So Ronan, I don't know if you could do like a white potentially.
It's immutable, man. It's immutable. You gotta work harder, man.
Yep. Sorry, man. I saw that Grok is now number one.
Number one.
Not for long. Watch out, Grok.
Got Grok and Tony, and things are moving. Competitive up there.
So we did have a question, and this is from an OG. So shout out to Delroy. It's good to see you again, mate. I have a question. Please keep in mind that it's been a while. Number one, where is Game7 at with grants? And number two, do we have solid investment criteria from Game7 for aspiring projects?
I can talk about the grants. So yeah, a lot of the grants recently actually been distributed to community efforts. So I know that Grand Marquis and Itamar has been doing a lot of work to engage the community and provide a lot of bounties in the form of like grants. That's been, I think, like the latest. There have been obviously some grants that we're providing to a few on-chain gaming, fully on-chain gaming tools in the last 6 months, I would say. I think George is leading it, so I don't have the latest of all the recent grants, but just on that note, a lot of the grants is moving to community efforts to grow the community, to engage the community both online and offline, to support the various initiatives that we're doing here. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah, happy to jump in regarding investments. Always looking for new opportunities on our end. For us, really trying to identify and to be honest, it still holds true. All the problems that were laid out in the dev report that we released in 2022, most of those still haven't been fully solved yet. Like we try to build a lot of those products ourselves through like Summon and Hyperplay, to try to fix those core issues that game developers are witnessing. But there's still like a long list of things that still haven't been built, and people have provided good solutions for. So I feel like that's always still going to be a good reference, even though it's a bit outdated, in terms of like what are the products, what are the types of solutions we want people providing in the space.
Oh, and if you don't have that, guys, that report is still publicly available online. And it's just a tremendous read, actually, because to Steven's point, there are quite a bit of elements that are still yet to be solved. So if you're an aspiring founder, check it out. And then come to Game7, and then it can help you make sure it's a success just through like their community support. Come on now.
And there's another report coming up soon. Just FYI, be on the lookout.
Ooh. Is it the how is no autopilot so handsome report? Because that's
precisely that with bunch of Dune analytics around it as well.
Sick. All right, so we have another question. This is from Ryan Beltran from Chaincraft Games. Our project, Chaincraft, is building an AI game maker, and we'd love to invite and collaborate with the community. Best suggestions to do this with Game7. We want to provide tools for others to easily build games. And then they have a link to their discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything specific, but usually the way that we like to work is like you guys did, Ryan. Post a discussion forum, engage KT, Grand Marquis, Itamar to basically flag it across the various teams working in the ecosystem. And usually we're trying to make sure that they can come in, they can contribute and comment. If there's any specific thing that you guys are interested, I didn't read the thread, so I apologize, but if there's anything strategically that you guys are looking for in terms of support, please just mention that and kind of make it as clear as possible so we know who we should connect you with. But yeah, so maybe after the call, I'll jump in and I'll see if there's anything that I can contribute on that. But that's usually the best place to start. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing all the comments and threads.
Sweet. Okay. So now we're going to do a test. We're going to see if the team remembers how I like to run these community AMAs. Team, any leaks that you're comfortable sharing with the folks who have shown up here live in person to our community call today?
So I don't think it's a leak. I think we actually posted it on Twitter, but we are competing for the Boomland leaderboard as a Game7 community. And if we win, everything is going to be distributed to the community. So if you're here listening and you're part of the Boomland community or you're playing Boomland, please join our team because we have to win as a community. And so, yeah, and you'll definitely be rewarded for it if you're contributing.
Boom. Okay, so that was a test. Do you see how quickly he dropped that Boomland thing? He was ready.
I was prepping for this the whole time. It's been what 54
That link was,
54
like,
minutes.
instant.
You never gave me the opportunity, man.
You just had it in chat ready to go. Hit enter.
So, but here's the real test. What's a piece of alpha you could drop that you're slightly uncomfortable about sharing at this stage? I was going to double dip on you. Were you ready for that?
I'm ready. All right,
Okay.
You're gonna get one word, and that's it.
Oh,
Credits.
credits.
That's all we're gonna say. Sorry, can't follow up.
Okay. All right. What do you guys think? What do you guys think in chat? What's credit? We're in third place right now. Fourth right on our heels.
Let's go.
That's great. We're beating Carve.
Hell yeah.
Take that, Carve. Love you guys.
Hell
Love
yeah.
you.
It's the quality. It's not the quantity, sir.
Wow.
Exactly. Great work, everyone. But yeah, let's pump those numbers up. Gotta finish strong.
Damn, Cajun. Shout out to Cajun. What a force.
Yeah, Cajun is killing it. Yeah,
That's
they're killing
crazy.
it.
Yeah. I mean, Cajun's been fantastic partners. So quick shout out there. Like they've just been a joy to work with. So love that community.
What's Planet IX? I'm not familiar with that. Is that a game or something? Guild?
It's a game and a community, and yeah,
competitor.
I was trying to play around with it. Yeah, I mean, they're doing well, so congrats to them.
All right. Well, sweet. So, folks, we got 4 minutes. Wrapping this thing up. You got any last questions, comments, concerns you need to ask in the chat right now? While you're doing that, team, I'll pass it over to you if there's any parting thoughts you want to leave with the community.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think we wanted to give a huge shout out to Mantle. Obviously we've had close ties with them and they've been great partners, right? But it's like having the conviction and the confidence in our community, supporting it with like a 2 million MNT campaign is just absolutely massive. Like we're so excited to like feature their games. We're so excited for you to play those games, and just like very thankful that they were like, hey, like you guys are doing something really cool here. Like let's go big. Let's have this be one of our biggest campaigns. So just wanted to give that shout out. And then just in general, there's just wanted to kind of like thank like the entire Game7 team. I think like really the thought process is that we don't want to have this kind of like one centralized company, right? We want to be this kind of bunch of different folks working together. And so what's been really cool about that is that, you kind of have this Game7 core team, but there's a bunch of different work streams, right? You have like Market Wars, you have World Builder, you have Summon, right? But then you have so many people behind the scenes that are making all of this stuff just seem easy. So it's like, obviously give a huge shout out to the Summon team. Like I'm heavily biased because I see them not sleeping, working nights and weekends, like pushing out this stuff. But just the community team managing, right? Like there's like thousands and thousands of people who keep flooding into our Discord. The marketing team that's saying like, hey, like here's some crazy ideas that you guys have with loot drop and like all these different things, and trying to communicate to that everyone, make it very clear and right, and like walk them through. So I just think like there's just so many different pieces of the puzzle that are like fitting together to make all of this stuff move. So yeah, just like super thankful to everything that's coming together. It's been really fantastic to see.
Yeah, and I want to shout out. I do want to shout out to KT, who literally started in join our Discord, probably like, I don't know, when was it, KT? Like 2 years ago, and literally just like day in day out helping us, like doing basically anything that we needed. Became a guardian, and really now is like taking so many functions and helping with like steward the community together with Grand Marquis and Itamar. I think that's kind of the type of behavior and type of individuals that we want to see in the community. They're really coming in for the community, coming in for the mission, and sticking around and really, becoming a leader in the community. So shout out to KT.
Hey, thanks.
Shout out to KT. Sick. Okay,
And as
folks.
much as I want to leak stuff about partnerships,
Ooh.
unfortunately we can't, because it wouldn't be fair to our partners. But what I will say is, stay tuned. We have some exciting partnerships coming in the upcoming weeks.
Ooh. A little bit of suspense is always good. A little bit of anticipation.
I like how he said it. Like, I want to share some of the partnerships, but I can't tell you about the partnerships.
What are credits? Yeah, I'm gonna
what
be
are
thinking about
credits?
that all day.
What are credits?
All right.
Bryce, Bryce. It should be a meme, sir.
Yep.
What are
And AJ
I keep asking John, he wouldn't even tell me. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
it's behind the China wall.
Skunk work. Nobody's allowed to know. Sorry.
All right, folks. I'll let you get back to your day. Thank you so much for showing up. We host these. What is it? Monthly. We'd love to have you keep showing up, supporting, asking questions. In the meantime, jump into Summon.
Yeah.
Get your quest done. Keep an eye on
So
Twitter.
thanks Ryan for hosting these calls. If the community want to see more of these calls, please let Itamar, Guan Marquez, and KT. We're happy to jump in more frequently if you have any questions, and obviously tag any of us in Discord, and we're happy to provide any comments or any information that you need in the meantime.
Boom. There you go. All right, folks.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
great day.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
thank you, everyone.